Okay, Denathrius, your time has come. Prepare to face the consequences of your crimes.
Yeah, choke me. I mean, justice time for you.
Oh no, please don't hurt me. I promise not to do any more bad things. I swear I do.
What do you think, Evie? He says he's learned his lesson. Should we forgive him? Let him live with us?
Wait a minute, Denathrius. What's wrong with your voice?
Nothing. What are you gabbing about?
Take off your jacket.
Yeah, why? Take off your jacket. Why? Do what she says.
I knew it!
Alright, what's going on here then? Did you enjoy the raid? Shine your shoes?
The jailer is even more devious than I thought.
Are all the Eternal Ones as deceitful as this?
Oh yeah, the Winter Queen is just 3 old tennis balls and a cabbage in a dressing gown.
I told you.
Knowledge is power.
Hello Internet, Taliesin here, and welcome to a new year, not quite new expansion, and another episode of the weekly reset, Taliesin and Evitel's Wondrous Wisdomshow, in a week where we are going to be talking big time about the Twisting Corridors, Torghast's new unlimited, but not really unlimited, broken, wonderful, terrible, boring, crazy, fun, stupid, shitty, awesome, essentially conclusion, how people feel about it after a week of play, and why. We're going to be talking about Blizzconline, and more importantly, what Blizzconline will give us in terms of Shadowlands, and Burning Crusade, why not? You want Burning Crusade? I can do Burning Crusade. Reveals and goodies, and all the latest tidbits and news, and a really nice tie, and Evitel of course, and basically, what's not to love? Well, the Twisting Corridors of course, but that is all to come. First, for the reason I know you're all really here, Castle Nathria and the race to world first, heroic, for guilds with a name a bit like Immortalis, where my guild, the original, maybe, handsomest, definitely, Immortalis Argent Dawn EU, battle it out to be crowned the best guild in the world out of guilds specifically with our name. And there's not much to report this week, obviously, because the Shadowlands delay meant that inconveniently placed holiday period, it's called Winter Veil, okay? That's right, they don't like it when you call it Winter Veil anymore, but you just try and stop me, Sejibwas. The Winter Veil break got in the way, and we took a raid break, which we've only just come back from. So we're at 5 out of 10 heroic, and I'm sure every other guild in the race is in a similar boat. Oh no, my mistake, there are 3 guilds at 9 out of 10 right now. The try-hard losers. Look, I get it. Congratulations, Umbra Immortalis and Est Immortalis. That is certainly a very exciting race you've got going on there. Wish we were part of it. But you know, some of us have actual lives and stuff where we're too busy having mad lad fun this Winter Veil. I mean, not us, obviously. London's on a tier 12 lockdown, so we spent ours in our house being forced to joylessly cook and eat the food that we bought for 6 people by ourselves, in between not opening the presents that hadn't been delivered on time. But whatever, yeah, grats. For the record, my Immortalis are currently in 7th place, and no, I'm not going to spend loads of time putting a graphic together, because there are 15 guilds in this race. If you ask me, this has gone far too mainstream. I'm pretty sure we'll have a winner by next week, and I look forward to letting you know who it is. And so, to the actual news, and like I say, our main story today concerns Torghast, Tower of the Damned, and the Twisting Corridors, the new play mode that opened up last week. And like the Twisting Corridors themselves, this is probably going to take a while, so on the assumption that you're already bored of my voice at this point, and I know I am, here's Evitel with some of our not main stories first.
This week, the final chapters of the Covenant campaigns come to an end. Chapter 9 will be available to play through, unlocking your 3rd Soulbind, General Draven for the Venthyr, Mechanikos for the Kyrian, Huntmaster Karain, or let's be honest, Heartmaster Karain, am I right ladies? For the Night Fae, and Bonesmith Hyremere for the Necrolords, which, I'm sorry Hymir, but that nickname has already been taken by my boy Bonesmith Karain, am I right fellas? Anyway, that's exciting. But even more exciting is the fact that the story of each campaign will also come to a climax, bringing an end to the narrative arc of 9.0. Well, apart from one last thing, one quite important thing, which I'm sure Tally will want to talk about in the Torghast segment. Officially ushering in the part of the patch where there is no story happening, and we are all just sitting on our hands waiting for patch 9.1 to drop and give us more. But if you are up to date and you totally completed your Covenant campaign already before watching this video, how was it? I mean, I know, obviously, I read up on all of the stories months ago on Wowhead, and Tally has been keeping up with them in-game to make a video, but I mean, how was it for you? I found a max level story unfolding like that over 7 weeks really satisfying. And I liked that, yeah, I had to do stuff to make those story quests pop, but it was pretty easy to keep up, and I think, at the moment, I prefer it as a delivery system to the story progress being locked behind reputation grinds like it was in BFA and Suramar. It'll be interesting to see if the weekly renown progress is as interesting without those story quests. And personally, I found that story really fun too. And light blue spoiler bot here because I can only speak to my own experience in the Kyrian, but it was great! A big attack by the Mawsworn at the beginning which destroyed our cool pyramid thing that we need for making Ascended, and then a few weeks traveling to other covenants to get cool, powerful MacGuffins to help us rebuild it, but more importantly, learning something from each covenant too, changing the whole Kyrian outlook on things, all the way getting ready for the confrontation with Lasonia, Uther, and the Forsworn, or should I say Mawsworn, at the end. I understand not every covenant campaign was quite so coherent or tightly structured though, so I genuinely love to hear people's opinions on their own experience in the comments. And like the renowned progression path and soulbinds, the way Shadowlands is set up means it's really simple to introduce more story content like this for each covenant as the expansion progresses. So at the moment, I'm totally counting Covenant Campaign as a win. But of course, the other question about this week's 4 new and final entries is, does it set up what's going to happen in 9.1? Like, is there an Argus in the sky moment where we are very explicitly shown where the adventure is heading next patch? Oh, well, now that we've sorted all that nonsense out, truly we have no choice but to head to Brokerland or Helia's house to finish it once and for all. Well, no, not at all. And with the ending of Castle Nathria being really cool, but also a bit of a full stop story-wise with no explicit declarations of what's coming next, we really are left hanging on for news of 9.1, when it might arrive, and what it will entail. And it seems likely that news will come at Blizzconline on February 19th and 20th. Because, yeah, it's probably a safe bet that those 2 days are going to be pretty Diablo-centric overall, but it's also fair to assume that it's also when the next chapter of Shadowlands will be unveiled, or, you know, maybe the next 2 chapters, or 3 chapters, if it's anything like BlizzCon 2016. Assuming that now there are no Covenant campaign quests, that we will be progressing the rest of our renown path at just 2 levels per week, we are currently due to hit 40, the current cap, on March the 9th, just over 2 weeks after any possible Shadowlands announcements at Blizzconline. But I wouldn't expect there to be a patch so soon. I think Blizz will be happy to keep players at 40 renown for a month or 2, letting them finish up their Covenant Sanctum upgrades, Maw progress with Venari, Castle Nathria progress, and, of course, the new Torghast Twisting Corridors. It's worth noting that this week sees the first Torghast in-game event, Beasts of Prodigum, where players will be able to control one of 3 Maw beasts that fights with you like a pet throughout your run, with a whole host of new Anima powers available for the pet. There's another event, Chorus of Dead Souls, scheduled for the 9th of February, and a third, Unbridled Darkness, coming on the 9th of March. It doesn't look like there's any unique rewards for these events. They really are just to add some more variety to the way you play Torghast, but it just highlights how this opening patch of Shadowlands isn't out of new content yet. If I had to, then I'd bet a 9.1 announcement at Blizzconline, with the patch hitting PTR a week or so after that, and then a very late March, early-ish April release. That makes 9.0 really long. Longer than the gap between the release of Legion and 7.1, but also longer than the wait between the BFA launch and patch 8.1, and the wait between Warlords of Draenor's release and 6.1, which sounds like a complaint, and it kind of is, I guess. But here's the thing. I think Shadowlands could probably take it. I mean, yeah, it would undoubtedly be better to have any patch sooner rather than later, but I think the combination of deterministic progression systems in Shadowlands, legendary crafting, Covenant upgrades and rewards, Venari, and the Twisting Corridors would at least keep the patch ticking over in a way that BFA and WoD weren't really equipped to do. I'd still rather it sooner than that, I'm just saying. And yeah, I've mentioned the Twisting Corridors a few times now, so I don't think we can really hold off it any longer.
The Twisting Corridors is the new gameplay mode for Torghast. And so, okay, you know how Torghast is like a roguelike, but isn't really like a roguelike? Yeah? Well, Endless Corridors puts that right, because it actually is totally a roguelike though, but also not really a roguelike either. Huh. Okay, so the Twisting Corridors is open alongside the 2 different Torghast wings that are available every week on rotation, and it stays open, so it's there the whole time from now on, unaffected by that usual wing rotation. You can only actually enter the Twisting Corridors after you've completed the 8 layers of standard Torghast and the Bolvar story quests that those involve. So you will have to have rescued Thrall, although, and I've said this before, but I stand by it, he looks like he's just fine, honestly. He looks like he's having a good time. And those quests are no longer limited to 1 a week. If you are a character catching up, then all of those quests are available to be completed in one go with no time gating. And anyway, if you complete the first layer of the Twisting Corridors on any character, then access is granted account-wide, irrespective of where your alts are in the story, because you know, I know, Blizz know, you'll definitely want to be getting started on the joys of the Twisting Corridors. As a gameplay mode, it consists of 8 layers, just like normal Torghast, which have to be unlocked 1 at a time, starting from layer 1, just like normal Torghast, with the opening floor of layer 1 being approximately the difficulty of a standard layer 3, according to Blizz. Those layer unlocks are account-wide, unlike normal Torghast, and each layer consists of 18 floors, which is obviously quite a lot more than normal Torghast, with a boss fight every 6 floors, just like normal Torghast. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, man, that is a lot of Torghast. I bet that is a fun, less structured take on the standard Torghast format, as well as being a much tougher challenge, as well as being an interesting and efficient way to get all my legendary Soul Ash for the week. And you may want to have a little seat, okay? You don't get any Soul Ash. This is not really designed to be repeatable content. It's a one and done for cosmetic rewards, a pet for completing layer 2, a toy that makes you look like a more badass for layer 4, the Spire Stalker at layer 6, and the Corridor Creeper mount, which is the mount, of course, that you can use in the Maw. And okay, so that is a pretty awesome reward, fair play. Honestly, that's a mandatory reward for anyone that isn't a druid or a worgen or a worgen druid, the real show-offs. But no Soul Ash, because this is a standalone challenge. Like the Mage Tower, and you remember when the Mage Tower came out, don't you? How happy everyone was about how hard it was, and how most people couldn't do it straight away, and how many people took over an entire patch to get it after overgearing it a bit. Yeah, well, the community reaction to the Twisting Corridors was pretty much the same, especially on the forums, where players delighted in the answer to all their prayers. Torghast, but harder and longer, with less rewards. No, it's a shit show, obviously. More Snorghast, oh boy. Hold me back. Please, really, someone hold me back. Like, 18 floors for what? Diddly squat? I'd rather spend a week in dentist chair. This shit is so long. 18 floors, each fishing layer, and can't say progress like a raid, and completing layer 8 Twisting Corridors took about 13 hours. Ain't nobody got time for that. I mean, the thing is, it is true that Twisting Corridors really is Torghast turned up to 11. And that's its main selling point, right? Like, it's Torghast turned up to 11. Yay! That's what people are going to like about it. But you know, it's also Torghast turned up to 11. That's going to be what people don't like about it too. It's a jerk-off instance for hardcore groups, I guess. Fishing Blizz, sitting that much time in a chair is not healthy at all. You are bullshit-ting. Hire some people to read Wowhead and your forums. And it really does amplify everything that's good and bad about Torghast as a result. Like, it's really hard at higher levels, probably something that players with lower item levels won't be able to manage right away. Also, obviously, by the time you get to floor 18 on a layer, you are likely going to have between 80 to 100 Anima powers, which is clearly some outrageous firework potential. If you've been lucky with your powers, and at this point you are basically a god destroying everything in your path, which is something you don't get in the shorter standard version. It's generally more varied than your average Torghast run too, because it uses room and assets from all the different wings, and it's something that, for most players, will probably be something of an ongoing project for the rest of the patch, going in when you've got a couple of hours to spare to just bash some buttons and zap some baddies. The kind of non-mandatory optional thing that I think Shadowlands really excels at. On the flip side though, 18 floors, really difficult floors, is a huge, massive time commitment. And with that many more floors, obviously all the frustrations that come with a normal Torghast run are exaggerated too. Like, you thought it felt bad to get to floor 6 and then wipe to the final boss? How are you going to feel after slogging through 18 of the shitters only to get absolutely deleted by a baddie seemingly disproportionately more badass than anything else you've faced so far? Really sucks to spend 2 hours getting up to floor 17 only for the floor boss to two-shot you in the space of a GCD. I'm kinda pissed off. Spending like 2 hours getting to the final floor only for the final boss to be some nuke. It's gonna feel bad. It was a rhetorical question. It's gonna feel bad. And imagine, even after all that, you still have to run 2 wings of normal Torghast to get your Soul Ash for the week. Now, it didn't help that when the corridors went live, they were not quite working properly either, with many classes looting placeholder Anima powers that gave them no actual power benefits, which, it goes without saying, in an extra hard baller Torghast mode specifically designed to make you really need as many Anima powers as possible, that's basically taking the piss. But that appears to be basically fixed now, leaving only the already existing insane class imbalance in the tower for players to contend with, as is tradition. And with all of that in mind, what is my opinion of the twisting corridors? Well, and I'm sorry about this because I know how much it's going to offend some of you, I really like it. And first, disclaimer, okay, because everyone plays this game differently and has different things that they like about it. I know that I enjoy Torghast the most in general when I play it in a group. I'm also quite privileged to have an awesome guild and also an awesome stream community to group with pretty much any time I like. And so obviously that is going to colour my experience and possibly make it different from yours. But for me, Corridors is kind of what I wanted from Torghast. Almost. Yes, 18 floors per layer is absolutely stupid. Like, it's idiotic. It's completely unnecessary. But in this particular case, I count that as a pro. And I'm not saying you should. You are perfectly entitled to hate it for the exact same reason. But I like it. The masochism and the ridiculous time investment and the pain is part of the fun. Like, we all play an MMO here, right? Surely we can all understand the appeal of rolling up our sleeves, taking a deep breath, and then jumping into something that we know isn't going to be over for a couple of hours, right? It is stupid. That's why I like it. And I say that as someone who still thinks that standard Torghast should only be 4 floors instead of 6. And yeah, the lack of power rewards might seem like a bit of a joke, but I think that's just Blizz's way of saying, hey, you, the person that just said they hate Torghast and would rather spend 2 hours in a dentist chair than do twisting corridors? Well, good news, buddy. Go and call the surgery because you don't have to do it. Okay, the mount is awesome, sure, but it's not the only place to get the Maw mount. Wowhead link in the description to answer the question that you've just gone down to the comments to ask. But a pet? A title? No, you're supposed to do this game mode basically because you want to. And if you don't, cool, no Torghast for you, except the normal 2 weekly wings for Soul Ash. Seriously, you should definitely do those, but otherwise, no Torghast for you. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, except they also tied this piece of masochistic garbage behind the story, and that is a good point, terribly made. The Bolvar quests that send you into the twisting corridors to find clues as to where Anduin is being kept has incredibly important story, but also 2 absolutely stonking and revelatory, and yes, definitely very important to the plot, in-game cinematics tied to them, which everyone is going to want to see. We put a video out about them last week. You should definitely go and watch it because you know how Evitel was saying earlier that there is no explicit indication from the Covenant campaigns or the raid ending of where the story or action is heading in the next patch? Yeah, that's because this is where that indication is. And you get 1 Anduin clue from each boss that you kill in the twisting corridors, which if you want to do it in one go means 18 floors, which might be very difficult depending on your class and item level. And yeah, that sucks. Or at least it would suck if you actually had to complete all 18 floors, but you don't. You can run the first 6 floors 3 separate times, and each time you kill the boss on floor 6, it will drop one of those clues. So if that's all you care about, it's really easy to see that, by the way, incredibly important story that you should definitely watch our video about, without having to do any more than dip your toe into the twisting corridors. Basically, if you hate this game mode, I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm not saying I'm correct to think it's great. I might not even end up finishing all 8 layers myself if I decide I can't be bothered later. I'll be honest, I just ran 3 layers in a row before filming this. That's 54 floors, and really, at this moment, I could quite happily live the rest of my life without seeing Torghast ever again, just saying. It's just another part of Shadowlands that is there if you want it, and not important if you don't. Like Island Expeditions, but if there was no Anima rewards, except also better than Island Expeditions. I shouldn't have mentioned Island Expeditions, ignore that. Look man, I just really need that mount, okay? But that's enough about what I think of the twisting corridors. Evitel, have you done the twisting corridors?
I have done some of the twisting corridors.
How some of the twisting corridors have you done?
So I did the first 6, right?
Right, okay.
Right, first 6 floors.
Of layer 1?
Of layer 1.
Just for the record, you are yet to complete layer 1. Okay.
I haven't finished my story.
No, okay, good story.
I did those, I got the first clue, and I was like, awesome, I'm done. And it was like, I saw that I needed to get a second clue. And I was like, oh. So I went back and I did it again the next day.
I'm really sorry. I need to clarify the exact circumstance of events here. So, Bolvar told you to go into the twisting corridors.
Yeah.
You went into the twisting corridors.
Yeah.
You got to level 6, floor 6. You killed a boss.
Yeah.
You got a clue.
I got a clue.
And your first reaction was to go, well, that's me done with these twisting corridors
yes,
then.
Because
there's another 12 floors, but I'll be damned.
Yes, because Bolvar was like, get a clue. And I was like, I got it.
So there's no part of you that thought, God, I'm really enjoying this new play mode. Maybe I'll stick around and complete the layer while I'm here.
To be fair, I was tight on time, so I was like, okay, you know, I'll do the rest of this later. It's fine.
You got the clue and you yeeted out, and you went back to Bolvar.
And then I was like, and I saw on my quest log I had to get another clue, and I was like, oh God. So like the next day, I went back and I did it again, and I was like, okay, cool.
And again went to layer 6.
Yeah, and I got my clue, and so I left.
So you've now at this stage you've now done the first 6 floors of layer 1 twice.
Yeah.
And then GTFO'd like each time you've killed the boss on the 6th floor. And at no point were you like, this is so much fun. I just want to carry on.
No. I mean, it is fun, but it takes a long time. That is my feedback.
It does take
so
a long time.
Like I don't have that long. I literally don't. I need to like.
Do you know what?
Feed a baby.
It pleases me to hear you say that.
It's so long. I know you love it. You love hearing me say that.
It doesn't. I like it to not be so long. You know, Taliesin, it's very important to me that it doesn't take a long time.
The first 6 floors are quite easy.
I feel like this story isn't over. What happened when you proudly went to hand in your 2 clues to Bolvar?
Well, I realized that there was another one. And at no point had it even occurred to me that
so you went in the third time.
God, you can at least get those clues from finishing the first 6 floors over and over again.
So you completed the first 6 floors 3 times.
Yeah, I did, and I was really sick of it.
You realised that you could have just gone through and done 18 floors,
yes,
right?
I could have, but I probably wouldn't have made it through because
why? You're a baller.
I just don't have time.
You're an amazing
That's
player.
the thing. I can do chunks of 6 floors.
Oh.
That works for me. Chunks of 18 floors is too long. I mean, I think it's perfect for some people, and clearly some people are having a great time with it. But for me, I ain't got that time in my life.
But you saw the cinematics.
Yeah.
The 2 cinematics. Now, it's worth noting the later of the 2 cinematics is only available if you've killed Denathrius in Cast Nathria. Because literally the first line of that cinematic is, Sire Denathrius has been captured, or something like that.
Yeah,
so it needs to kind of, it's set after the raid.
With Sylvanas' lovely little facial movements.
Oh, they're so good.
Really good.
I walked in on you as you were watching the cinematic, actually.
Just...
But I have since actually talked to Terran Gregory about it. He came onto our stream and he was just in the chat and we had a little exchange about it. Because I was like, I thought her facial expressions were so good in that cinematic that it wouldn't have surprised me if they'd been motion captured.
Little bits under her eye.
Yeah, like just like little... And he said no, there's no mocap in it at all. Obviously there's motion like reference and like filmic reference, but no mocap.
And he says that there's actually just more female animators in the team than ever before, and he thinks that might be why Sylvanas' facial expressions have suddenly got so good.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Also, she's got some proper sass to deliver as well, which is really cool.
I really like her in that.
Thank you for being here today for
Thanks,
this
guys.
first weekly reset of the new year. It's so different.
Happy
it
New Year!
feels so fresh. I feel like it's a new beginning.
Oh, yeah.
I think, and I'm gonna. How many weekly resets do you think we'll get done this year? I'm gonna say 52. We're on course.
No.
If we don't miss another week from now on, we'll do 52.
Although, to be fair, I think we are going to have a good number of weekly resets this year.
Yeah, I reckon actually I underestimated. I think maybe 70 some days. Some weeks we'll just do 2.
And a good number of other stuff, because maybe I will have more time to do stuff on the channel. Maybe we have news? I don't know.
Now everyone's going to think you're pregnant again.
No, I would have less time. I would have much less time to do anything.
Yeah.
I'm not having another baby right
Yeah,
now.
maybe. I didn't knock on wood. No, don't. That's how we got in this mess.
Don't knock on wood.
I think it's going to be a good year for the weekly reset. I think it's going to be a good year for World of Warcraft.
Me too.
And I think it's going to be a good year for you. Thank you for joining us for this episode. If you liked it, don't thank us. Thank our patrons who give their actual real life money to make all of our videos happen. That was a moon baby that you just did.
I just pulled the moon baby.
Wow.
If you know, you know.
One.
If you know, you know.
Most of the people that watch this show, i.e. people in their 20s and younger, aren't going to know what that is. They're not going to know what that is.
Check them out.
They
Moon
don't
Baby
watch,
is the bomb.
They don't watch children's TV. And if they do, they don't watch the BBC. Google it. Don't. It'll terrify you. If you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it. Remember, my name is Critical Bard.
Oh.
No, my name is Taliesin from me.
And me, Evitel.
And a Nyrin too. Until next time. Cheerio.